What if the reason you feel tired is not because life is asking too much from you, but because you are trying to hold too much all at once? What if the pressure in your mind is not coming from life itself, but from the need to figure out every detail before you allow yourself to rest? So many people believe peace will come after everything is clear, after every answer is found, after every problem is solved, after every path is fully shown. But peace does not begin at the end of the journey. Peace begins in the moment you stop fighting with the unknown. Peace begins when you loosen your grip. Peace begins when you say to life, I do not need to know everything right now. I am willing to trust that the way will appear. There is something very deep that happens when you stop asking how every second of the day. The heart becomes softer, the breath becomes slower, the body stops bracing for what might go wrong. A new kind of space opens inside you. It is a quiet space, but it is powerful. It is the place where trust begins. It is the place where healing begins. It is the place where life can finally move again. When your hands are full of fear, control, and endless questions, it is hard to receive anything new. It is hard to notice the support already around you. It is hard to hear the wisdom that comes in stillness. But when you release the need to know how, even for a moment, something inside you starts to relax, and that softening becomes the first miracle. Many people think that control makes them safe. They think that if they plan enough, worry enough, think enough, prepare enough, then they can stop pain before it comes. They believe that if they know how everything will happen, then they can finally breathe. But life does not work that way. Life is not a machine that always shows its next move. Life is a living flow. It moves with timing, with mystery, with wisdom that the mind cannot always understand. The mind wants a map before it takes a step. The soul knows the step will appear when it is time. The mind wants proof before it relaxes. The soul relaxes first and then sees the proof. This is why so many people stay trapped in stress for so long. They are waiting for certainty before they allow peace, when peace is the very thing that helps them receive guidance. There is a gentle truth that can change everything for you. You do not need to see the whole path to move forward. You do not need to understand the full plan to be supported by it. You do not need to know how every door will open before you trust that some doors are already opening. The need to know how often comes from fear. It comes from a part of you that believes you are alone, that believes everything depends only on you, that believes if you stop pushing for 1 second, everything will fall apart. But you were never meant to carry life that way. You were never meant to drag every answer out of tomorrow. You were never meant to force your future into shape with fear. There is a softer way to live. There is a wiser way to move through life. It begins with this simple inner shift. Instead of saying, I must know how this will happen, you begin to say, I trust that the way is being made, even if I cannot see it yet. Those words may seem small, but they open a great door inside you. They tell your mind that it does not need to run the whole universe. They remind your body that it does not need to stay tense all the time. They remind your heart that support is real, even when it is unseen. The moment you stop demanding that life explain itself before you trust it, you step into a deeper kind of power, not the power of force, not the power of control, the power of calm, the power of allowing, the power of faith. So much suffering comes from trying to make life move at the speed of fear. Fear says, "Tell me now, show me now, fix it now." Fear believes that if something is not clear right away, then something must be wrong. But life does not bloom under pressure. Life does not reveal its beauty through force. Think about the sunrise. It does not rush to prove that morning is coming. It arrives in its own perfect time. The sky slowly changes. The light grows softly. What was hidden becomes visible little by little. Life often works like that. The answer you want may not come all at once. The way forward may not be shown in one bright flash. Sometimes it comes in pieces, sometimes it comes through a feeling, a nudge, a change in direction, a door that closes, a new thought, a quiet knowing. And if you are too busy demanding the full picture, you may miss the next gentle step being given to you now. The need to know how can sound reasonable at first. It can sound wise. It can even sound responsible. But when it becomes constant, when it becomes the voice that rules your peace, it starts to drain your spirit. It keeps you in your head and out of your life. It makes the present moment feel not enough. It teaches you to treat today like a waiting room instead of a living place. It tells you that this moment cannot be trusted because tomorrow is still unknown. But this moment is where your power lives. This moment is where your breath is. This moment is where grace meets you. If you keep leaving the present because you are trying to solve the future, you miss the very ground that can hold you. Sometimes people say, "I would trust life more if life gave me a reason." But how many reasons have already been given? Think of all the times something worked out in a way you did not expect. Think of the moments when you thought something ending would break you, and later you saw that it made room for something better. Think of the delays that protected you. Think of the closed doors that saved you from the wrong path. Think of the strength that rose in you when you thought you had none. Life has been speaking to you for a long time. Life has been showing you that it does not always need your full understanding in order to guide you well. There is great peace in admitting that your mind does not need to carry the whole story. Your mind is a beautiful tool, but it is not the source of all wisdom. It can plan, it can observe, it can learn, it can prepare, but it cannot always see what life is arranging behind the scenes. It cannot see every meeting, every change, every hidden movement, every quiet answer already on its way. It cannot see how one small step today may connect to a blessing months from now. It cannot see how the thing that feels uncertain now may become clear later in a way that makes perfect sense. This is why trust matters. Trust does not mean you stop caring. Trust means you stop trying to see what is not yet yours to see. There is a difference between being present and being controlling. Being present means you listen, you notice, you respond, you take the next step with care. Being controlling means you grip, you fear, you push, you demand answers before they are ready. Presence opens the heart. Control tightens it. Presence helps you feel guided. Control makes you feel alone. Presence says, "What is mine to do today?" Control says, "I must solve the whole future before I can rest." One of these brings peace, the other brings exhaustion. If you have been living in the need to know how, be gentle with yourself. This habit often began as a form of protection. Maybe you learned early that life could change quickly, and so you tried to stay one step ahead. Maybe you felt that if you could predict every outcome, you could avoid disappointment. Maybe you thought control would keep you safe from pain. That part of you deserves kindness, not shame. But there comes a moment when old ways of protection begin to hurt more than they help. There comes a moment when holding on too tightly becomes its own kind of suffering, and that moment can also become a turning point. It can become the moment you choose a new way. The new way is not careless, it is not passive, it is not weak, it is deeply alive. It says, "I will do what is mine to do, and I will release what is not mine to control." It says, "I will show up with love, with faith, with honesty, with openness, and I will stop punishing myself for not having all the answers." It says, "I trust that clarity can come one step at a time." It says, "I do not have to chase peace through certainty. I can choose peace now." That choice changes your energy. It changes the way you wake up. It changes the way you walk through the day. It changes the way you pray, the way you wait, the way you respond when things are not yet clear. When you release the need to know how, you stop arguing with life every minute. You stop treating uncertainty like an enemy. You stop making the unknown mean something bad. Instead, you begin to see mystery as a space where something beautiful may still be forming. You begin to feel that not everything hidden is against you. Some things are hidden because they are still growing. Some things are hidden because the timing is not ready. Some things are hidden because if you saw the whole path too early, you might try to control it and ruin the ease that was meant for you. Sometimes not knowing is mercy. Sometimes not knowing is protection. Sometimes not knowing is part of the trust that transforms you. There is a freedom in saying, "I do not know how, but I am open to the perfect way." Those words release you from the heavy job of trying to force the answer out of life. They let your nervous system rest. They make room for wonder. They allow you to become teachable again. They remind you that there are ways forward your mind has not even imagined yet. A new path can open through a chance meeting. A deep fear can fade through one small act of courage. A long delay can lead to a better answer than the one you were asking for. A burden can become lighter, not because the problem vanishes at once, but because your relationship with it changes, and that change begins inside. Imagine how much energy has gone into trying to figure out every detail. Imagine how many hours have been spent in circles of thought that never brought peace. Imagine what could happen if even part of that energy was returned to your heart, your breath, your trust, your presence. What would it feel like to sit down at the end of the day and not demand that tomorrow reveal itself before you sleep? What would it feel like to let yourself be supported without needing a full explanation? What would it feel like to believe that the perfect way can be made without your constant tension? These are not small questions. They touch the core of how you live. The soul does not grow through control. The soul grows through trust, through surrender, thrive. Learning how to stand in the middle of uncertainty without closing. This does not mean there will never be questions. It means questions no longer become your prison. It means you can wonder without panicking. It means you can wait without collapsing. It means you can move forward without needing every light to be green. This is real strength. Real strength is not holding every answer in a clenched fist. Real strength is being able to breathe when the answer has not arrived yet. Real strength is trusting that what is true will stand, what is meant for you will come, and what needs to change will reveal itself in time. Maybe right now there is something in your life you want to understand. Maybe you are asking how this will work, how this will heal, how this will change, how this will be provided, how this door will open, how this burden will be lifted. And maybe you are tired of carrying the question. Then let this be a holy pause. Let this be the moment where you no longer make understanding the condition for peace. Let this be the moment where you whisper, I release the need to know how. Life always finds the perfect way for me. Say it slowly inside yourself, not as a way to escape life, but as a way to meet it with trust. There is a soft power in those words. I release the need to know how. They tell the mind to rest. They tell the body to unclench. They tell the spirit that it is safe to trust. And then the second part, life always finds the perfect way for me, opens the heart to support. It reminds you that you are not cut off from wisdom. It reminds you that the flow of life is not random chaos, but a living movement that can guide, arrange, protect, and provide. Even now, something may be shifting. Even now, a way may be forming. Even now, the answer may be drawing nearer through paths you cannot yet see. The miracle is not only that life can make a way, the miracle is that you can begin to feel peace before the way is fully shown. The miracle is that your heart can soften before the problem is solved. The miracle is that trust can rise while uncertainty is still present, that changes everything. Because now your peace is no longer held hostage by outcomes. Now your inner state is not controlled by how much you know. Now your joy does not have to wait for perfect timing, perfect proof, or perfect explanation. You begin to live from a deeper center. Life responds differently when you are no longer in constant struggle. When you are relaxed, you notice more. When you are open, you receive more. When you are not trying to force the future, you become available to the guidance of the present. A thought comes more clearly. A decision feels simpler. A burden becomes lighter. a next step appears. The answer may not arrive in the loud, dramatic way the mind expects. It may come quietly, but quiet answers can still change your life. In fact, many of the truest answers arrive that way. So breathe into this truth. You do not need to know how. You do not need to hold tomorrow so tightly. You do not need to force life to speak before it is ready. There is wisdom moving beyond your understanding. There is support working beyond your sight. There is a path unfolding beyond your fear. You can rest now. You can soften now. You can trust now. And in that space, the heart remembers something it has always known. Life is not asking you to control every step. Life is asking you to walk with faith. The need to know how often feels like a normal part of life, but for many people it becomes a hidden weight they carry every day. It sits in the mind from morning to night. It appears in quiet moments, in busy moments, in moments of waiting, and in moments of fear. It asks again and again, how will this work? How will this change? How will this happen? How will I get there? How will I be okay? On the surface, these questions may seem harmless. They may even seem wise. But when they come from fear again and again, they stop being useful and start becoming a source of pressure. They stop leading to clarity and start leading to tension. They stop helping the heart and start exhausting it. One of the first ways this need creates stress is by keeping the body in a state of holding. Even if you are not moving, your body may still be bracing. Your shoulders may stay tight. Your chest may feel heavy. Your breath may stay shallow. Your stomach may feel knotted. This happens because the body listens to the mind. When the mind keeps sending the message that something must be figured out right now, the body responds as if it is under threat. It does not know that you are only thinking. It only knows that the signal being sent is urgent, uncertain, and tense. So it prepares, it tightens, it guards. It waits for danger, even if no danger is present in the room with you. This is one reason people can feel tired even when they have not done very much. The mind has been working too hard. The body has been staying alert for too long. The nervous system has not been given permission to rest. The need to know how can keep a person awake at night, not because the answer is near, but because the mind is afraid to let go of the search. It believes that if it stops thinking, something important will be missed. It believes that if it relaxes, things will fall apart. So it keeps going, round and round. The same questions, the same fears, the same possible outcomes. And all the while, peace remains just out of reach. There is a big difference between thoughtful planning and fearful overthinking. Planning is clear. It is grounded. It helps you see what you can do now. Overthinking is restless. It does not feel complete. It does not move you into peace. It keeps circling the same question because it is not truly looking for action. It is looking for certainty. And certainty is not always available in the moment. So the mind keeps EPS spinning, hoping that one more thought will finally bring relief. But most of the time, it only brings more stress. The need to know how also creates stress because it makes trust feel unsafe. If the mind believes that safety comes only through full understanding, then anything unknown starts to feel dangerous. A delay feels threatening. Silence feels threatening. A closed door feels threatening. Even a pause can feel threatening. The person may begin to read every uncertain moment as a bad sign. Instead of seeing life as something that may still be working, they begin to fear that life has stopped helping them. Instead of resting in what is present, they begin to fear what is missing. This steals the peace of today and hands it over to the worries of tomorrow. Another way this need creates stress is by placing impossible pressure on the self. It tells you that you should have every answer by now. It tells you that if you were wiser, stronger, more spiritual, more prepared, more careful, then you would already know what to do. It makes you feel as if uncertainty is a failure. It turns not knowing into something personal, but not knowing is part of being human. No one sees the whole path. No one controls the whole story. Life unfolds in time. Wisdom unfolds in time. Growth unfolds in time. When you demand complete answers from yourself before they are ready, you create shame on top of uncertainty, and that makes the burden even heavier. The heart does not bloom under that kind of pressure. The heart closes. It grows tired. It begins to believe that peace must be earned through effort. But peace is not a reward for solving everything. Peace is a way of being that helps you move through the unsolved with grace. When you live in the need to know how, you often miss this truth. You believe you must earn rest by figuring everything out. You believe you must earn calm by controlling the unknown. You believe you must earn trust by seeing proof first. But this way of living keeps the soul dry. It asks the mind to do what the spirit was meant to hold. Stress grows wherever there is too much force. The need to know how is often a forceful energy. It pushes, it grabs, it demands, it tries to pull answers out of time before time is ready to give them. It turns waiting into a battle. It turns life into a puzzle that must be solved right now. It makes every day feel like a test you are afraid to fail. And because life rarely reveals itself under those harsh terms, the pressure continues. The person begins to feel not only uncertain, but defeated, not only tired, but trapped. There is also stress in the way this habit changes your relationship with the present moment. If your mind is always trying to force the future into view, then the present moment can start to feel empty. You may sit with a cup of tea and not taste it. You may hear music and not hear it. You may be with people you love and still feel far away. I may go through your day while your mind is somewhere else, trying to solve tomorrow. This creates a quiet sadness. It is the sadness of not really being where you are. It is the sadness of living beside your life instead of inside it. The need to know how can steal not only peace, but presence. The mind can be so loud in this state. It says, if I just think about this more, maybe I will find the answer. If I just prepare for every problem, maybe I can stay safe. If I just keep searching, maybe I will finally feel calm. But what if calm is not hiding at the end of more thinking? What if calm begins when you stop asking the mind to do what only trust can do? This is where healing starts. It starts when you realize that not every question can be solved through effort. Some questions soften through surrender. Some answers come only when you stop forcing them. Some doors open only when you stop pounding on them and begin to listen. The need to know how also creates stress because it teaches the heart to fear mystery. But mystery is part of every living thing. You do not know how the seed turns into the flower. You do not know how the body heals every cut. You do not know how the next breath arrives so naturally. You do not know how the dawn comes each morning, and yet it comes. There is life moving all around you in ways you do not fully understand. And still it works, still it unfolds, still it carries wisdom. If life depended only on what your mind could explain, very little would move. But life is larger than explanation that should bring comfort, not fear. When a person is deeply caught in the need to know how, even good things can become hard to receive. If something nice appears, the mind may ask, but how long will this last? If help is offered, the mind may ask, what is the catch? If a new opportunity comes, the mind may ask, what if this goes wrong? Stress does not only block peace, it can also block joy. It can make the heart suspicious of ease. It can make support feel strange. It can make abundance feel unsafe. When someone has lived in control for a long time, openness itself can feel uncomfortable at first. But that does not mean openness is wrong. It only means the heart is learning a new way. This pattern can be especially painful in spiritual life. A person may say they trust life, trust the universe, trust divine timing, trust the path. But deep inside, the mind may still be clinging tightly to how will this prayer be answered? How will this healing happen? How will this need be met? How will this desire arrive? The words of trust may be there, but the energy beneath them may still be tense, and life responds to energy. This is why stress matters so much. It is not just a feeling. It is a state that shapes how you move, how you see, how you receive, and how you respond. The need to know how can also create stress in relationships. When you are not at peace inside yourself, it becomes harder to rest in connection with others. You may look to them for answers they cannot give. You may want reassurance again and again because your own heart feels shaky. You may read too much into silence. You may fear being misunderstood. You may feel that if others do not respond in the way you hoped, then the whole future is in danger. Stress does not stay in one corner of life. It spreads. It touches thoughts, words, moods, decisions, sleep, energy, and connection. That is why releasing this habit can change so much more than one problem. It can change the whole way you live. There is another painful thing this habit does. It makes the journey harder than it needs to be. Many challenges already carry enough weight on their own, but the mind adds extra suffering by insisting that the path must be fully clear right away. A person may already be moving through change, grief, uncertainty, or growth, and then on top of that they pressure themselves to have every answer. This creates double pain. The original challenge is one burden. The demand for total understanding becomes another, and often the second burden is the one that crushes peace the most. What would happen if you removed that second burden? What if you let the challenge be what it is without forcing yourself to solve its whole meaning right away? What if you said, "This is where I am, and I do not yet know the full way forward, but I am willing to be guided"? There is so much kindness in that approach. There is so much relief in it. It does not deny reality. It does not pretend all is easy. It simply removes the harsh demand that says you must know everything now. And once that demand softens, the heart has room to breathe again. Stress also grows because the need to know how often comes with inner resistance. Resistance says, "This should not be happening. This should already be clear. I should already be farther along. I should not still be waiting." These thoughts create struggle against the present moment. Instead of meeting life where it is, the mind fights what is real. That fight creates even more tension. It is hard to hear guidance when you are arguing with the place where guidance is trying to meet you. It is hard to notice blessings when you are angry that they have not come in the form you expected. Stress grows in resistance, peace grows in openness. The truth is, many answers do not come through pressure. They come through peace. They come when you are washing dishes, walking slowly, sitting quietly, breathing deeply, praying softly, resting for a moment. They come when the mind finally stops shouting long enough for wisdom to whisper. They come when the body feels safe enough to soften. They come when your energy is no longer tangled in fear. This is why releasing the need to know how is not lazy. It is wise. It creates the inner conditions where deeper clarity can rise. You may have noticed this in your own life. There may have been times when you pushed and pushed for an answer, only to feel more confused. Then, when you finally let go, when you stepped back, when you stopped forcing it, something became clear. Not because the answer was suddenly invented, but because you were finally quiet enough to receive it. Stress clouds the inner sky. Peace clears it. The stars were already there. You just could not see them through the storm. The need to know how often comes from the idea that life will only support you if you can first explain the full process. But life does not wait for your explanation. Life is already moving. A seed does not need to understand the whole season in order to grow. The river does not need to explain every turn in order to reach the sea. The dawn does not ask for permission to rise. There is movement written into life itself. There is a wisdom that carries things forward. When you forget this, stress grows. When you remember this, the heart softens. So much of stress is the fear that if you stop gripping the question, you will lose your chance. But what is meant for you is not that weak. What is true does not disappear because you took one peaceful breath. What is real does not fall apart because you stopped forcing the future for an hour. In fact, many things become easier when you stop chasing them with fear. Relationships breathe, ideas settle, the body relaxes, the mind clears, guidance becomes easier to hear. This is why the need to know how can be such a heavy burden. It convinces you that tension is helping, when often tension is the very thing blocking the ease you long for. Maybe today you can begin to notice this pattern with kindness, not with blame, not with shame, just with honesty. Notice how often your peace is tied to getting answers right away. Notice how often your body tightens when the future is unclear. Notice how often your mind treats uncertainty like danger, and then gently remind yourself that not knowing is not the same as not being guided. Unclear is not the same as unsafe. Waiting is not the same as being forgotten. The way may still be forming, the answer may still be ripening. Life may still be working in quiet ways your mind has not yet learned to trust. This is where the stress begins to loosen. It loosens when you stop making certainty your God. It loosens when you stop demanding that your mind carry what your heart was meant to hold with faith. It loosens when you begin to say, I do not have to know the whole way to take one peaceful step. I do not have to understand every detail to be supported. I do not have to control tomorrow in order to be safe today. These truths are not weak. They are strong enough to set your spirit free. There is a deep comfort in remembering that life knows how to move. Long before you learned to worry, life was already carrying breath through your body. Long before you tried to plan every outcome, life was already turning night into morning, winter into spring, silence into song, waiting into growth. Life has always known how to unfold. It has always known how to take what is hidden and bring it into bloom in its right season. Fear may be loud, but fear is not wise. Fear may speak quickly, but fear does not know the full path. Life does. Fear speaks in urgency. It says, hurry, fix, prove, solve, control. It believes that if it can keep you moving fast enough, thinking hard enough, guarding strongly enough, then you will somehow outrun pain. But fear is not a wise guide. Fear sees danger even where there is only uncertainty. Fear treats delay like defeat. Fear treats silence like failure. Fear treats the unknown as if it were the end of the story. But life sees more than fear sees. Life knows what is still forming behind what you cannot yet understand. Life knows what must be strengthened, softened, released, or prepared before the next door opens. This is why life often feels different from the story fear tells. Fear says you are stuck. Life says you are still becoming. Fear says nothing is happening. Life says roots are growing where you cannot yet see them. Fear says you missed your chance. Life says what is true for you can still find you. Fear says if you do not force it, it will never happen. Life says what belongs to you can arrive through grace as well as effort. These are two very different voices. One voice tightens the body and darkens the mind. The other voice softens the heart and opens the spirit. One voice comes from panic. The other comes from deep wisdom. Life is not careless. Life is not random punishment. Life is not only a list of problems waiting to break your peace. There is an intelligence moving through all living things. You may call it divine guidance. You may call it the wisdom of life. You may call it the loving order of the universe. Whatever name you give it, it is real. It is the quiet knowing that can lead you even when your mind is tired. It is the unseen support that keeps working even when you cannot measure it. It is the deeper order that can hold together what fear says is falling apart. Think of how many things happen in life without force. The flower opens without struggle. The tide rises and falls without anxiety. The moon does not panic about its place in the sky. The tree does not fear its worth because winter has come. There is a rhythm in life, a wisdom in timing, a hidden order that does not ask fear for permission. In the same way, there can be a path for you that does not require constant panic. There can be a way forward that appears in quiet pieces. There can be guidance that comes through stillness instead of pressure. There can be support that arrives not because you controlled every detail, but because life was already making a way. This does not mean life always looks the way you expect. It does not mean every door you want will open. It does not mean every ending will feel gentle at first, but it does mean that life can use even what seems confusing. It can use delay. It can use loss. It can use change. It can use silence. It can use redirection. What fear calls failure, life may be using as preparation. What fear calls rejection, life may be using as protection. What fear calls the end, life may be using as the beginning of a truer path. This is why trust matters so much. Without trust, you judge too soon. Without trust, you may mistake a turning point for a dead end. There is a sacred humility in admitting that life may know more than your fear does. Fear is often based on old pain, old memories, old wounds, old voices, old ways of protecting yourself. It is not always seeing what is actually true now. Sometimes it is only repeating what once felt true, but life is alive in the present. Life is not trapped in the past. Life is always moving, always making, always shaping, always calling something forward. When you listen only to fear, you listen to a voice that often belongs to yesterday. When you listen to life, you begin to feel the possibility of today. Maybe you have been standing in front of something unclear. Maybe you have been waiting for an answer, a sign, a shift, a door, a release, a healing, a change you cannot yet see. Fear may say, if it has not happened by now, it never will. But life does not speak in that hopeless way. Life says, not all things open at once. Not all things ripen on your schedule. Not all things can be understood in the middle of becoming. Some answers need time. Some blessings need space. Some growth happens in hidden places before it becomes visible. This is not a punishment. It is part of how life works. There are moments when you look back and suddenly understand why certain things did not happen when you wanted them to. You see how one ending made room for a better beginning. You see how one delay protected you from a path that would not have held your peace. You see how the version of what you wanted then was smaller than what life later gave you. In those moments, something inside you softens. You realize that the whole time life was not ignoring you. Life was guiding you, even through what you did not understand. That is what fear forgets. Fear forgets the larger view. Life knows when you are ready to carry what you are asking for. Life knows what must grow inside you before certain things can arrive and stay. Life knows when your heart needs healing, when your spirit needs strengthening, when your path needs clearing. Life knows what must be removed before something better can come in. Life knows what connections are true and which ones are only lessons. Life knows how to arrange what fear tries to freeze. And because life knows these things, you do not always need to know them first. You only need to stay open enough to be guided. This is why the phrase "life always finds the perfect way for me" is so powerful. It does not say life always follows my exact plan. It does not say life always explains itself right away. It says life finds the perfect way. Perfect does not always mean easy at first. Perfect means true. Perfect means fitting. Perfect means aligned with a deeper good, even if the mind cannot see it yet. Sometimes the perfect way is a door opening. Sometimes the perfect way is a door closing. Sometimes the perfect way is being asked to wait. Sometimes the perfect way is being invited to let go. Sometimes the perfect way is peace arriving before answers do. There is a great release in allowing life to be wiser than fear. Fear believes it must keep you small to keep you safe. Life knows that trust can carry you farther than control ever could. Fear believes that if you do not know every step, you should not move. Life knows that one honest step is enough. Fear says brace yourself. Life says soften. Fear says prove. Life says receive. Fear says force. Life says allow. Fear says panic. Life says breathe. The two voices cannot lead you in the same direction. One leads you into more contraction. The other leads you back to your own center. When you remember that life knows the way, something changes in how you stand inside uncertainty. You stop collapsing every time the next step is not visible. You stop making confusion mean abandonment. You stop assuming that silence means nothing is happening. You become more patient, not because you have given up, but because you have begun to trust the process. Patience is not empty waiting. It is peaceful participation in what is still unfolding. It is the quiet strength that says, I do not see everything yet, but I do not need to live in fear while I wait. This trust does not remove all feeling. You may still have days when the unknown feels hard. You may still wish for clearer signs. You may still feel the ache of waiting, but trust gives those feelings a larger home. It keeps them from ruling you. It allows you to feel without drowning. It allows you to wonder without despairing. It allows you to wait without losing yourself. because underneath the questions there is now a deeper truth. Life knows the way better than fear does. There is a beautiful softness that comes when you truly let that truth in. You begin to walk differently. You are less rushed inside. You are less harsh with yourself. You do not demand that every day prove itself before you honor it. You begin to look for guidance instead of forcing outcomes. You begin to listen instead of only pushing. You begin to trust that what is meant to arrive can do so through paths you have not yet imagined, and this makes life feel lighter, not because every problem disappears, but because you are no longer dragging the extra weight of constant fear. Maybe you have spent a long time listening to fear. That is all right. Fear can be loud, and many people have been trained to obey it. But you can begin again. You can choose another voice. You can place your hand on your heart and say, I release the need to know how. Life always finds the perfect way for me. And as you say those words, let them be more than a sentence. Let them be an opening. Let them be a return. Let them remind you that life has been carrying wisdom long before fear began shouting directions. The path may not reveal itself all at once, but that does not mean there is no path. The answer may not come on the timeline fear demands, but that does not mean it will not come. The next step may be quiet, but quiet does not mean absent. Life is often working in ways too gentle for fear to notice. It may be arranging, softening, clearing, preparing, guiding, and connecting. Even now, the unseen is not empty. The unseen can be full of sacred movement. So when fear rises and asks again, but how? Meet it gently. Do not fight it. Do not shame it. Simply answer with a deeper truth. Life knows the way. The path can unfold one step at a time. I do not need to force what is still becoming. I do not need to carry tomorrow before it arrives. I can rest in this moment and trust that what is mine will come in the right way at the right time. These words calm the heart because they are true. They remind you that you are not alone in the making of your life. There is such freedom in trusting the larger rhythm. It frees you from the heavy job of being your own constant source of certainty. It frees you from the fear that every unanswered question is a threat. It frees you from the idea that control is the same as safety. It opens you to a better way of living, a way rooted in faith, softness, presence, and quiet confidence. Not confidence that everything will look exactly as you planned, but confidence that life can guide you well even when the plan changes. And perhaps that is the peace your heart has been asking for. Not the peace that comes after every answer, but the peace that comes before them. Not the peace built on control, but the peace built on trust. Not the peace that depends on knowing how, but the peace that lives in remembering who carries the path. Life always finds the perfect way for you, even now, especially now. There comes a moment when the heart grows tired of trying to force every answer. It becomes tired of carrying questions that do not open through pressure. It becomes tired of living as if peace must wait until every part of life makes perfect sense. And in that tiredness, a deeper truth begins to rise. Life knows the way, even when your mind cannot see it, even when your plans feel weak, even when the road ahead looks hidden. Life knows the way. This truth is simple, but it has great power. It can soften fear. It can quiet the need to control. It can return you to trust. So many people have been taught to believe that if they cannot explain what is happening, then nothing good can be happening. But life does not ask for your full understanding before it begins working. The roots grow before the flower appears. The dawn begins before the sun is fully seen. The tide turns before the shore notices. In the same way, movement can already be happening in your life before your eyes can see the result. Something may already be shifting. Something may already be healing. Something may already be opening. The mind wants proof first, but life often works in silence before it becomes visible. It is important to remember this. When you are in a season of waiting, waiting can make the mind restless. It can make the heart question itself. It can create the feeling that life has forgotten you or passed you by. But waiting does not mean life has stopped. Waiting does not mean you are being left behind. Waiting does not mean nothing is being prepared. Very often, life is doing its deepest work in places you cannot yet reach with your eyes. The unseen is not empty. The unseen is alive with preparation. The unseen is where timing gathers strength. The unseen is where one chapter closes in silence before the next chapter opens in light. When you do not understand what is happening, fear tries to become the narrator. Fear says, this delay means you are blocked. Fear says, this silence means the answer is no. Fear says, this unknown means you should panic. But fear speaks quickly and without wisdom. Life speaks more quietly, but life speaks with truth. Life says not everything can be judged in the middle of the process. Life says what looks still may still be moving. Life says what feels delayed may be protected. Life says what seems confusing now may one day look like perfect guidance. This is why the heart must learn to listen beneath fear. Fear will always rush to explain what it does not understand. Life invites you to trust before the full meaning appears. There are so many things in your own life that prove this. There have been moments when you thought something should happen one way, and later you saw why it happened another way. There have been times when a closed door felt painful, only for you to later understand that the path behind it was too small, too limited, or too heavy for the life that was waiting for you. There have been times when delay felt cruel, and later you saw that the delay protected you, strengthened you, or brought you into better timing. Life has likely already shown you again and again that it does not need your constant agreement in order to guide you well. The truth is, life can arrange things more beautifully than fear ever could. Fear is always trying to protect you by narrowing your view. It tells you to expect less, trust less, hope less, risk less, own and hold on tighter. But life is not trying to make you smaller. Life is trying to lead you into what is true. Sometimes that means slowing you down. Sometimes that means moving you in a direction you did not plan. Sometimes that means asking you to let go of what you thought you needed so that you can receive what is really meant for you. Fear sees only loss in these moments. Life sees alignment. Alignment is a powerful truth. It means that not everything in your life is random. It means there is a deeper order moving beneath appearances. It means that even when you do not understand the shape of things, something wiser may still be at work. Alignment is what brings the right words at the right time. It is what causes one chance meeting to change the course of a season. It is what lets one small decision open a door you never could have forced. It is what allows healing to happen gradually, gently, almost without your noticing, until one day you realize you are not where you used to be. Alignment is quiet, but it is real, and life knows how to bring it. Many people make the mistake of thinking that if they cannot see the full plan, there must be no plan at all. But a hidden path is not the same as no path. A covered seed is not the same as a dead seed. A season of stillness is not the same as abandonment. You are not asked to see everything at once. You are not asked to solve the whole road before you take the next step. You are asked to trust the wisdom that moves through life itself. That trust does not have to be loud. It does not have to be dramatic. It can be as simple as breathing and saying to yourself, I may not see it yet, but life knows the way. There is great comfort in saying those words. Life knows the way. They do not ask you to pretend everything is easy. They do not ask you to deny your questions. They simply place your questions inside a larger truth. They remind you that your mind is not the only source of guidance. They remind you that your fear is not the highest voice in the room. They remind you that even now, while you are still waiting, life may already be bringing together the things that will support you. A path may be forming through conversations you have not yet had. A blessing may be moving through timing you do not yet understand. Healing may be unfolding through changes that are still too quiet to notice. There is also a deep peace in remembering that life is not only responding to what you see. Life responds to your openness, your readiness, your willingness to trust. When your heart is tight, it becomes hard to receive what is being offered. When your energy is full of force, it becomes hard to notice grace. But when you soften, when you allow, when you become willing to trust what is not yet visible, you enter a new relationship with life. You are no longer standing against it. You are standing with it. You are no longer demanding proof before peace. You are allowing peace to come first, and that peace makes space for clearer guidance. Sometimes the reason the next step does not appear is because you are trying so hard to see the whole staircase that you miss the one step in front of you. Life rarely gives the entire picture at once. Life often gives only the piece that belongs to now. One conversation, one breath, one act of rest, one moment of courage, one quiet decision. The mind may call this too little, but the soul knows how much can change through one true step. One true step can shift a whole season. One true step can bring you into a meeting, a thought, a doorway, a healing, a freedom that you never could have reached by standing still in fear. It is also true that life sometimes keeps things hidden because the hidden season is part of your growth. If you knew too early how everything would happen, you might rush ahead without learning trust. You might try to control what was meant to unfold gently. You might cling to one form and miss a better one. You might become attached to the method instead of the deeper blessing. So sometimes not knowing is not a punishment. It is a sacred space where trust matures. It is a place where the heart learns to live without constant proof. It is a place where peace becomes deeper because it is no longer dependent on full explanation. This kind of trust changes how you move through the day. You stop reading every delay as a sign of failure. You stop treating every pause as danger. You stop demanding that life speak in ways that fear can understand. Instead, you begin to feel a different rhythm, a softer one, a steadier one. You begin to sense that you are not alone in your becoming. You begin to feel that there is support around you, even when there are no clear signs yet. You begin to walk with a little more ease, a little more patience, a little more faith. And that shift itself is powerful, because when you stop fighting the hidden season, you start receiving from it. Life knows the way better than your fear does. Life knows what to remove and what to bring. Life knows what needs more time and what is ready now. Life knows which doors would only drain you and which ones can truly hold your peace. Life knows what your heart has asked for, even when the answer is arriving in a form you did not expect. Life knows how to guide you not only toward results, but toward the version of you that can receive those results with grace, steadiness, and joy. This is not random. This is not careless. This is wisdom moving through your days in ways both seen and unseen. So when you feel the old pressure rising, when you feel the urge to force and demand and understand everything at once, return to this truth. Life knows the way. Let it settle into your body. Let it rest in your breath. Let it loosen the tight places inside you. You do not need to fight the whole future today. You do not need to carry answers that are not ready. You do not need to prove your safety by solving everything before sunset. Life knows the way. Your task is not to control the entire path. Your task is to stay open enough to walk it. There is something beautiful that happens when words are spoken with presence. They become more than sound. They become direction. They become comfort. They become a bridge between fear and peace. This is why affirmation can be so powerful when it is spoken from the heart. Not because the words are magic on their own, but because they help guide your energy. They help bring your wandering mind back home. They help remind the body that it does not need to stay in struggle all the time. They help create a new inner atmosphere, one where trust has room to grow. So pause for a moment now. Let everything slow down. Let the noise inside you settle, even just a little. Place your hand on your heart and feel that gentle weight. Feel your own presence. Feel the warmth of your palm. Feel the quiet reminder that you are here, alive, breathing, held in this moment. You do not need to rush past this. You do not need to use this moment to solve anything. Just be here. Just let yourself soften enough to receive these words. Now say quietly within yourself, or whisper if you can, I release the need to know how. I trust life. Let the words move slowly. Do not hurry them. I release the need to know how. I trust life. Say them again, not as an order, but as an invitation. Let them enter the places in you that have been tense. Let them reach the part of you that has been trying so hard to hold everything together. Let them rest on the tired places in your mind. I release the need to know how. I trust life. This is not about pretending you have no questions. It is not about forcing yourself to feel something you do not feel yet. It is about creating a gentle opening. It is about showing yourself a new way to respond when fear wants to take over. The mind may still ask questions. That is all right, but now the heart is being given a new language, a kinder language, a steadier language. Instead of panic, you offer trust. Instead of pressure, you offer softness. Instead of trying to carry the whole future, you return to this moment and speak peace over yourself. Feel how different that is. Most people speak to themselves through tension without even noticing. They say, hurry up, figure it out, fix this. Why are you still waiting? What if this goes wrong? What if this never works? These thoughts shape the body, they shape the breath, they shape the energy of the day. But when you place your hand on your heart and say, I release the need to know how, I trust life, you interrupt that pattern. You begin to create a new inner habit. You begin to teach yourself that peace is available before answers arrive. The hand on the heart matters more than many people realize. It is such a simple gesture, but it carries deep meaning. It tells the nervous system that you are not under attack. It tells the body that it is safe to soften. It brings your awareness out of racing thoughts and back into living presence. When the hand rests over the heart, you are no longer floating in worry alone. You are with yourself. You are offering comfort instead of criticism. You are choosing connection over fear. And from that place, the affirmation goes deeper. It is no longer just a sentence in the mind. It becomes a message to the whole being. I release the need to know how. This first part is a release. It is a letting go of pressure. It is a loosening of the grip. It is permission to stop demanding that tomorrow reveal itself before you allow yourself to breathe. It is an act of inner kindness. It tells your mind, you have done enough for now. It tells your body, you do not have to stay ready for danger. It tells your spirit, you are allowed to rest in mystery for a moment. Release is not loss. Release is relief. Release is the opening through which peace can finally enter. Then the second part, I trust life, is like placing something gentler into the empty hands you have just opened. You are not only letting go, you are also receiving. You are receiving a new relationship with the unknown. You are receiving the possibility that life is not against you. You are receiving the truth that the path can still unfold even when your mind cannot explain it. These words are simple enough for the heart to remember. That matters. When fear rises, The mind does not need long speeches. It needs something clear, something calm, something it can return to again and again. I trust life. Few words, but great power. You may not fully believe the words the first time. That is all right. Affirmations do not need perfection to begin their work. They need willingness. They need repetition. They need tenderness. They begin like seeds, quietly, softly. The first time you say them, they may feel new. The second time, they may feel possible. The third time, they may begin to settle into the body. Over time, what once felt strange can begin to feel natural. Over time, the old voice of panic becomes less loud because another voice has been fed with love and attention. This is how inner change often happens, not all at once, but through returning again and again to what heals. It can help to imagine these words as warm light moving through your chest. I release the need to know how. With those words, the tightness begins to melt. I trust life. With those words, the heart begins to open. The body hears what the mind forgets. The body remembers safety through repetition, through breath, through softness, through steady signals of peace. This is why it matters not only what you think, but how you speak to yourself. Words shape atmosphere. Words carry energy. Words can either harden the day or soften it. These words soften them. Perhaps what you need most right now is not another answer, but a softer atmosphere inside yourself. Perhaps what you need is not more pressure, but more gentleness. Perhaps what you need is not another hour of worrying, but one true moment of hand on heart, breath in body, and the quiet sentence, I release the need to know how. I trust life. That moment may look small from the outside, but inwardly it is a turning. It is the moment you stop speaking fear over your path and begin speaking faith instead. This kind of heart connection changes more than mood. It changes how you listen. It changes how you wait. It changes the energy you bring into the rest of your day. When you begin from the heart, you do not react to every unknown with the same old force. You become more grounded. You become more open. You become more able to notice what is actually here instead of only fearing what is not yet here. The heart has a different wisdom from the mind. The mind often searches for control. The heart often knows how to rest in trust. When you place your hand there and speak gently, you are choosing which voice will lead you. There will be moments when life feels uncertain again. There will be mornings when you wake up and the questions come back quickly. There will be nights when you feel the old pressure trying to return. That is when this simple practice becomes so valuable. Not as a performance, not as a rule, but as a place of return. Hand on heart, breath slow, words gentle. I release the need to know how. I trust life. It is enough. It is enough to begin again. It is enough to soften the moment. It is enough to bring you back to yourself. The more often you do this, the more your heart becomes a place of safety instead of strain. You stop visiting it only when things are falling apart. You begin to live from it. You begin to remember that support is not always loud. Sometimes support is the tone of your own inner voice. Sometimes support is the kindness you offer yourself when the future feels hidden. Sometimes support is choosing not to join fear in its rush. The heart connection gives you that support. It reminds you that peace is not somewhere else. Peace can begin right here, in this touch, in this breath, in this simple sentence spoken with sincerity. So stay here for another moment. No hurry, no need to move on too fast. Feel your heart beneath your hand. Feel the life in your body. Feel the quiet gift of this breath. And once more say softly within yourself, I release the need to know how. I trust life. Let those words become a resting place. Let them become your calm answer to fear. Let them become your anchor when the mind wants to run. There is healing in repetition. There is strength in gentleness. There is power in this simple return to the heart. Letting go is one of the most misunderstood things in life. Many people hear those words and think of giving up. They think of losing hope. They think of becoming passive or careless. But true letting go is none of those things. Letting go is not the end of care. It is the end of strain. It is not walking away from life. It is walking with life in a new way. It is choosing to stop forcing what fear cannot control. It is choosing to make space for something wiser to move. Letting go is not weakness. It is deep wisdom. It is the strength to stop fighting what cannot be solved through pressure. So much pain comes from trying to force what needs room. Force says, this must happen now. This must look this way. This must follow my timing. This must obey my fear. But life does not open well under force. Love does not open under force. Healing does not open under force. Peace does not open under force. The things that matter most often need a softer touch. They need patience. They need openness. They need trust. When you keep pulling at the bud, it does not bloom faster. When you keep digging up the seed, it does not grow stronger. In the same way, when you keep gripping your future, your peace, your healing, your answers, you do not help them unfold. You only exhaust yourself. Allowing is different. Allowing says, I am willing to let life breathe. I am willing to let timing work. I am willing to stop treating every delay like danger. I am willing to let what is true come in its own right way. This does not mean you do nothing. It means what you do is no longer driven by panic. It means your actions come from steadiness instead of desperation. It means you can take a step without trying to drag the whole road toward you. That is the quiet beauty of allowing. It brings dignity back into the way you move through uncertainty. It returns grace to places where stress once ruled. There is often a moment before letting go when the mind becomes very loud. It tells you that if you stop controlling, everything will fall apart. It tells you that if you stop worrying, you will miss something important. It tells you that your fear is useful, that your pressure is helping, that your tension is the only thing keeping life together. But look closely at what that tension has really been doing. Has it brought peace? Has it brought clarity? Has it opened the path? Or has it only kept your body tired, your heart heavy, and your spirit restless? Sometimes the most loving question you can ask yourself is this: what if holding on this tightly is no longer helping me? Letting go begins with honesty. Honesty about what you have been carrying. Honesty about how heavy it has become. Honesty about how much energy has been spent trying to make life reveal itself before its time. And then, from that honesty, comes a choice. Not a loud, dramatic choice, a quiet one, a sacred one. The choice to loosen your grip. The choice to stop making fear your guide. The choice to say, I no longer need to. Oh, carry this in the same way. I am willing to allow life to help me. This is where peace begins to return. Not because every answer arrives all at once, but because the fight begins to end. Much of suffering is not only the challenge itself. Much of suffering is the inner war against the challenge. It is the endless argument with what is not yet clear. It is the refusal to breathe until certainty comes. It is the habit of saying, I will rest after everything is fixed. Letting go breaks that pattern. It says, I can rest now. I can breathe now. I can stop making tension my home. And in that very act, the body begins to feel safer. The mind begins to slow down. The heart begins to open. Imagine how different it feels to carry water in open hands instead of clenched fists. In a clenched fist, nothing can stay gently. Everything slips, strains, and spills. In open hands, there is less force and more ease. There is space, there is trust. There is a kind of relationship with life that does not depend on grabbing. This is what allowing feels like. It is not careless. The hands are still there. The presence is still there. The care is still there. But the strain is gone. And without that strain, life can move more naturally. One of the hardest things for people to let go of is the need to decide in advance how blessings should come. The mind often says, it must happen like this, through this person, at this time, in this exact form, or else it will not count. But allowing opens you beyond that narrow frame. It says, I am open to the good, even if it comes differently than I imagined. I am open to support, even if it arrives through a door I did not expect. I am open to answers, even if they come quietly. This openness matters because life is often more creative than fear. Life can bring help from directions your mind would never have chosen. Life can solve things in ways that do not match your old picture, but fit your deeper need far better. Letting go also means releasing the idea that you must do everything alone. This is one of the deepest burdens many people carry. They believe that if they do not keep pushing, nothing will happen. They believe support is uncertain, help is fragile, and rest is dangerous. But life was never meant to be lived as one long act of control. There is grace available. There is support available. There is wisdom available. There is guidance available. To allow does not mean becoming lazy. It means becoming willing to receive what has always been there. It means no longer blocking help because it did not come through force. Many times, allowing begins in very small ways. It begins by taking one slow breath instead of rushing into panic. It begins by pausing before answering fear. It begins by no longer needing to solve every problem before bed. It begins by saying, "For this moment, I choose peace over pressure." These may seem like tiny acts, but they change the direction. And of your whole inner life, they teach the nervous system that the world is not ending because the future is still unfolding. They teach the heart that openness is not the same as danger. They teach the mind that stillness can be useful, that rest can be wise, that ease can coexist with responsibility. Allowing is deeply spiritual because it honors the intelligence of life. It says, "I do not need to stand above life and force it into shape. I can stand within life and trust its deeper rhythm." This creates humility, but it also creates freedom. You no longer have to pretend that your fear knows best. You no longer have to carry the burden of making every step happen through force. You begin to understand that some things are meant to be received, not chased. Some things are meant to ripen, not be rushed. Some things are meant to unfold, not be dragged into being. There is a quiet beauty in this shift. The day feels different when you are allowing. Your breath feels different. Your thoughts feel less sharp. Your body feels less guarded. Even your waiting changes. Waiting no longer feels like punishment. It begins to feel like a season with its own wisdom. A season where roots are growing, where timing is being arranged, where inner space is being made. Instead of asking every minute, when, how, why, you begin to sit with a gentler question. What would it feel like to trust this moment more fully? That question leads to peace. That question leads to softness. That question leads you back into the living flow of life. The flow of life is always moving. Even when you resist it, it moves. Even when you fear it, it moves. Even when you do not understand it, it moves. Allowing is not creating that flow. It is choosing not to stand in hard opposition to it. It is stepping out of the rigid place and into a more natural rhythm. You begin to feel that not everything must be pushed. You begin to notice that some doors open when you relax. Some answers come when you stop demanding them. Some healing begins when you stop fighting the part of life you are in. This is why allowing is so powerful. It takes you out of struggle and back into relationship with something larger than your fear. There may be something in your life right now that is asking to be held more gently. A plan, a hope, a timeline, a healing, a question, a desire. And maybe the way you have been holding it has become painful. Maybe it is time to stop squeezing so tightly. Maybe it is time to trust that if it belongs, it does not need fear to keep it alive. Maybe it is time to say, "I am willing to let this unfold in the perfect way. I am willing to stop controlling what I cannot force. I am willing to be supported by something deeper than my own worry." Letting go is not something you do only once. It is often a practice, Fear returns, and you loosen again. Pressure returns, and you soften again. Questions return, and you answer them with gentleness again. This is not failure, this is growth. Each time you return to allowing, you strengthen trust. Each time you release the grip, you teach yourself that peace is possible. Each time you stop forcing, you create space for grace. Over time, that space becomes more familiar than the struggle used to be. Over time, peace becomes less of a stranger. And this is the great gift of allowing. It does not just change your circumstances, it changes your relationship with life itself. Life stops feeling like something you must wrestle into place. It begins to feel like something you can move with, breathe with, trust more deeply. You begin to sense that you are not separate from the flow. You are part of it. You are being carried by it even now. And when you remember that, when you stop pulling against the current, something beautiful happens. The heart becomes lighter. The mind becomes quieter. The path becomes softer under your feet. So let yourself hear this deeply. You do not have to force what is still becoming. You do not have to hold every answer in a tight hand. You do not have to keep proving your worth through struggle. You are allowed to let go. You are allowed to allow. You are allowed to trust that life can bring the right things in the right way at the right time. This is not weakness. This is sacred strength. This is wisdom in action. This is the moment you stop living from fear and begin living from trust. Now imagine, just for a moment, that your life is like a gentle river, not a wild river that throws you into fear, but a calm and steady river, warm with light, moving with quiet purpose. The surface may bend and turn, but the river always knows where it is going. It does not panic at a curve. It does not stop because the path ahead cannot be seen from where it is now. It keeps moving. It keeps flowing. It trusts its own direction. And in many ways, your life is the same. Even when you cannot see the full path, there is still movement. Even when the next turn is hidden, there is still guidance. Even when your mind feels unsure, life is still carrying you forward. So many people stand at the edge of this inner river and feel afraid to step in. They want to know where every bend will lead before they allow themselves to trust the current. They want a promise that the water will only move in ways they understand. But the beauty of the river is that it does not ask you to control it. It asks you to trust it. It asks you to release the constant struggle of trying to drag yourself forward by force. It invites you to feel what it is like to be carried by something wiser than fear. There is deep peace in this image because it reminds you that you do not have to do all the holding. You do not have to create the whole path by yourself. You are already inside something larger, gentler, and more intelligent than the mind's endless worry. Picture yourself standing beside that river now. The air is soft, the light is warm. Everything feels still in the most comforting way. You can hear the quiet sound of water moving, steady and sure. There is no rush in this place. There is no demand that you figure out the entire future before taking a breath. There is only the calm truth that movement is already happening. The river does not need your fear to keep flowing. The river does not need your tension to know its direction. It moves because that is its nature. Life moves because that is its nature too. In your hands, imagine you are holding all the questions you have been carrying, the ones that wake you in the night, the ones that return in quiet moments, the ones that ask how, when, why, what if. Feel their weight for a moment. Feel how long you have been gripping them. Maybe there is the question of how something will work out. Maybe there is the question of when something will change. Maybe there is the fear that if you do not keep holding these questions tightly, everything will slip away. But now the river is before you, and it is asking for something very simple. It is asking you to let life hold what you have been trying to hold alone. One by one, imagine placing those heavy questions into the river, not throwing them away in anger, not denying them, not pretending they never mattered, simply placing them into the water with care. Let the river receive them. Let the current carry them. Let them move out of your clenched hands and into something greater. Notice what happens in your body as you do this. The shoulders begin to soften, the jaw loosens, the chest opens, the breath deepens. Nothing terrible happens when you let go. The sky does not fall, the ground does not disappear. Instead, you feel relief, you feel space, you feel the beginning of trust. Now imagine stepping into the river itself. The water is warm, gentle, almost glowing. It wraps around you not with force, but with support. You do not have to fight it. You do not have to swim against it. You do not have to prove that you are worthy to be carried. The current simply holds you. It knows how to move. It knows how to guide. It knows how to bring you around the bends you cannot yet see. This is what it means to trust life. Not that you never have questions, not that you never feel uncertain, but that you are willing to be held by something deeper than those feelings. This image is powerful because it speaks to the part of you that is tired, the part that has been trying to control too much for too long, the part that secretly longs to rest but does not know how. The river shows you how. It shows you that support does not always arrive in loud ways. Sometimes support is the simple truth that life knows how to carry what your fear cannot solve. Sometimes support is the reminder that the path does not need to be forced open every day. Sometimes support is the feeling that you can stop struggling for one moment and still be safe. The river also teaches you something important about direction. It does not move backward to make sense of every twist. It does not stop at each turn and say, "Explain this to me before I continue." It keeps moving. There is trust in that movement. There is wisdom in that flow. The river understands something fear forgets. The next part of the path does not need to be visible in order to exist. It only needs to be reached in its right time. In the same way, your life does not need to reveal everything at once. The next answer, the next door, the next step, the next healing will appear when it is time for it to appear. Until then, the current still carries you. Even if your mind returns to control again, you can come back to this image. You can close your eyes for a moment and see the river. You can hear the soft movement of the water. You can remember what it feels like to place the heavy questions down. You can tell yourself, I do not have to hold this alone. Life can carry me. This simple image can become a shelter for the heart, a place you return to when fear is loud, a place you return to when timing feels hidden, a place you return to when you need to remember that support is real even before answers become clear. There is great beauty in letting the spiritual image become an inner truth. The river is not only something outside you, it is also within you. It is the flow of life moving through your breath, through your growth, through your healing, through your becoming. It is the wisdom that has guided you through things you once thought you could not survive. It is the quiet strength that kept carrying you, even when you thought you were standing still. It is the grace that kept working even in seasons that felt silent. When you remember that this current lives within life itself, you stop feeling so separate from guidance. You begin to feel joined to it. And that changes the way you move through uncertainty. Instead of feeling like you are stranded in the unknown, you begin to feel carried through it. Instead of feeling abandoned by silence, you begin to sense that silence may still contain direction. Instead of asking fear to tell you what comes next, you begin to listen for the softer rhythm underneath. That rhythm does not always give you the whole picture, but it gives you something even more precious. It gives you trust. It gives you steadiness. It gives you the sense that you can float instead of fight. Let yourself stay with that for a while. Let the image be simple. Let the feeling be soft. Life is not always asking for effort. Sometimes it is asking for openness. Sometimes it is asking for less gripping and more allowing. Sometimes it is asking you to stop treating every unseen thing like a threat. The river does not rush to prove where it is going. It simply goes. And perhaps your spirit already knows how to do the same. Perhaps beneath all the noise, there is already a quiet part of you that knows how to trust the flow. This section of your path is simply helping you remember it. So if you feel tired of carrying the future in your hands, step into the river again inside your heart. Let it hold you, let it guide you, let it remind you that not knowing is not the same as being lost. You are moving. Even now, you are being carried. Even now, life is still finding its perfect way for you, even now. One of the hardest things for the human heart is waiting without fear. The mind wants quick answers. It wants signs right away. It wants every prayer to open instantly and every door to reveal itself on command. When things take longer than expected, fear often rushes in and says something is wrong. It says you are behind. It says you missed your moment. It says life is giving to others and forgetting you. But these thoughts are not truth. They are only the voice of impatience mixed with fear. The deeper truth is much softer and much steadier. Life moves in timing that the mind cannot always understand at first. but that does not make the timing wrong. It may still be perfect. Divine timing means that not everything comes when the mind demands it. Some things arrive when your heart is ready. Some things arrive when other pieces have quietly moved into place. Some things arrive after you have grown strong enough to hold them with peace instead of panic. This does not mean you must become perfect before life blesses you. It simply means that timing has wisdom. There are things happening beyond what you can see, and the delay is not always a denial. Sometimes the delay is part of the gift. Sometimes the delay is what protects the quality of what is coming. Sometimes the delay is what shapes you into the person who can receive with gratitude instead of fear. Think about the way all of nature moves. Nothing real blooms through panic. The tree does not hurry spring. The dawn does not force the sun to rise before its moment. The fruit does not become sweet by being pulled too early from the branch. Everything deep in life has its season. Everything true has its rhythm. And yet, when it comes to your own path, it is so easy to forget this. It is easy to believe that if something is not here now, then it may never come. But life does not measure worth by speed. Life does not decide your future by your moment of fear. Life is still moving, even in what feels slow. There is such peace in remembering that divine timing is not against you, it is for you. It is not trying to keep you from good, it is trying to bring good in the right way. There may be things you once begged for that would not have held your peace if they had arrived too soon. There may be doors you wanted open that would only have led you into confusion or exhaustion. There may be things you thought were delays that were actually acts of quiet care. This is why the heart must learn patience. Not the tense kind of patience that is secretly angry, not the impatient kind of patience that keeps watching the clock, but the peaceful kind, the kind that says, I do not yet see it, but I trust that life is still moving. Patience becomes easier when you stop treating time like an enemy. Fear turns time into pressure. It says, hurry, it is getting late. Hurry, others are ahead. Hurry, your chance is fading. But divine timing speaks differently. It says what is yours does not disappear because it takes time. What is real does not become less real because it is still unfolding. What is meant to bloom will not be destroyed by the season before it. These truths calm the racing mind because they remind you that good does not always have to come through urgency. Sometimes the best things in life arrive slowly enough for your soul to be ready when they do. When you do not trust timing, you often try to rush what should be ripening. You may push decisions before they are clear. You may cling to something that is not ready. You may panic when silence would have been enough. You may exhaust yourself trying to make something happen before its right hour. But when you trust divine timing, you stop pulling at life in that way. You become more willing to let what is forming take the time it needs. You become less likely to mistake slowness for failure. You begin to see that waiting can also be holy. Waiting can also be productive in unseen ways. Waiting can be part of alignment. There is a deep spiritual maturity in saying, I do not need to rush what life is still preparing. Those words free the heart. They loosen the grip of desperation. They make room for peace, to live beside desire. You can still long for something and trust timing. You can still pray for something and trust timing. You can still hope, dream, and ask for what is in your heart without living in panic about when it will arrive. This is a beautiful balance. It is the balance of faith. It is the balance of wanting with openness rather than wanting with fear. So many people suffer because they believe that if they cannot see results, then no progress is happening. But some of the most important movement in life is invisible at first. Healing is often invisible before it becomes visible. Inner change is often invisible before it begins to shape outer experience. Timing is often invisible while it is still gathering the right pieces. You may not see what is being arranged right now, but that does not mean nothing is being arranged. You may not know why something is taking time, but that does not mean time is being wasted. A season of waiting may still be full of preparation, redirection, protection, or quiet blessing. This is why the words "I trust the timing of my life" carry so much peace. They do not ask you to understand everything. They simply ask you to stop making war with time. They invite you to rest in a deeper confidence. They remind you that your life is not a mistake because some things are not yet clear. They remind you that the road is not wrong because it is still unfolding. They remind you that timing itself may be one of the ways life loves you. Sometimes the answer comes later because later is gentler. Sometimes the opening comes later because later is wiser. Sometimes the gift comes later because later allows it to arrive whole. You may think of a part of your life right now that feels slow. Maybe there is something you have prayed for, something you have worked toward, something you have asked life to bring, and maybe part of you feels tired of waiting. That feeling is human. It deserves tenderness. But do not let that tiredness turn into hopelessness. Do not let the hidden season convince you that your life has stopped. You may still be standing inside divine timing even now. The path may still be gathering shape beneath your feet. The answer may still be ripening in silence. The blessing may still be moving toward you through ways you cannot yet imagine. Trusting divine timing does not mean doing nothing. It means doing what is yours to do without trying to control what is not. It means showing up for the day in front of you while releasing the need to drag tomorrow into view. It means caring without clinging. It means staying open without forcing. It means letting patience become an act of trust rather than an act of frustration. This is how peace enters waiting. This is how your spirit stays soft even in seasons that are not yet resolved. There is also something deeply healing in knowing that you do not have to compare your timing with anyone else's. Every life has its own path. Every soul has its own pace. What opens quickly for one person may need more time for another, and that does not make one path better than the other. Comparison is another way fear steals peace. It says, "Look at them, they are ahead." But divine timing does not use another person's path to measure yours. Your life is unfolding according to its own deeper wisdom. Your lessons, your openings, your growth, your healing, your becoming all have their own rhythm, and that rhythm deserves respect. So when impatience rises, answer it gently. Tell yourself, I am not being forgotten. I am not too late. I am not outside the care of life. I am still being guided. I am still being prepared. I am still on the path. These truths help the heart stay soft. They protect you from turning waiting into a story of failure. They remind you that not yet is not the same as never. Not visible is not the same as not happening. Slow is not the same as wrong. Let trust settle into time itself. Let time stop feeling like pressure. Let it become space. Let it become the field where life quietly arranges what your mind cannot arrange alone. Let it become the season where roots deepen, where faith strengthens, where the next right thing, others form. You do not need to rush your becoming. You do not need to push the dawn. You do not need to force fruit before it is sweet. The right things come in the right way at the right hour. Life knows this, and as you trust divine timing, your heart begins to know it too. When you stop fighting the unknown, something beautiful begins to happen inside you. The space that was once filled with pressure slowly becomes open. The breath grows deeper, the body softens, the heart becomes more willing to rest, and in that softer space, peace can finally enter. Peace does not always arrive in dramatic ways. Sometimes it comes as a quiet feeling in the chest. Sometimes it comes as a sudden sense that you do not need to solve everything tonight. Sometimes it comes as the simple realization that this moment is still livable, still holdable, still sacred, even without all the answers. Peace often enters in ordinary ways, but its effect is extraordinary. It changes how you think, how you wait, how you listen, how you move. This peace is not weakness. It is not avoiding life. It is not pretending there are no questions. It is a steady inner state that tells your whole being you are safe enough to soften. And when that happens, guidance becomes easier to hear. A tense mind misses what a peaceful heart can notice. A fearful spirit often talks so loudly that it cannot hear the softer voice of wisdom. But when you relax, when you release the need to know how, your inner world becomes less crowded, and in that quieter place, guidance can rise. Guidance does not always come as a loud answer. Many people wait for something dramatic, a perfect sign, a complete plan, a clear and final message. But often, guidance is much gentler than that. It may come as a calm feeling about one next step. It may come as a thought that returns quietly again and again. It may come as a sudden inner no that saves you from the wrong choice. It may come as a deep sense of peace around something that once felt confusing. It may come through a conversation, a line in a book, a moment of prayer, a stillness you almost missed. Guidance is not always loud, but it is real. It often arrives best in hearts that are no longer trying to force life to speak on command. Miracles begin to feel possible in that same space. not because life becomes perfect overnight, but because your way of meeting life changes. A miracle is not only something huge and sudden. A miracle can be a mind that finally becomes still after a long season of fear. A miracle can be the release of a burden you thought you had to carry forever. A miracle can be peace arriving before circumstances change. A miracle can be one clear next step appearing after months of confusion. A miracle can be the strength to trust again after disappointment. When your heart opens, these things become easier to notice, and when you notice them, they begin to grow. Receiving is such an important part of this. Many people know how to work hard, strive hard, and worry hard, but they do not know how to receive. They have spent so long pushing that openness feels strange. They have spent so long proving that allowing feels unfamiliar, but receiving is part of the spiritual path. You do not only create through action, you also create by becoming open to what is trying to meet you. You do not only move life forward by effort, you also move with life by receiving peace, receiving guidance, receiving support, receiving blessings when they arrive. To receive peace, you must stop arguing with it. To receive guidance, you must stop drowning it out. To receive miracles, you must stop deciding in advance that life can only help you in ways you already understand. This is one reason the need to know how can block so much. It closes the hand, it narrows the view, it tells life, I will only trust you if you speak my language of certainty. But peace, guidance, and miracles often come through softness, timing, and surprise. They enter through the open places. They enter through the moments when the heart says yes before it has full proof. Imagine how different your life feels when you wake up no longer ready for battle with the future. Instead of asking right away, what if something goes wrong? You begin with a gentler truth. Life always finds the perfect way for me. I am safe to trust the process. These words begin to shape the energy of the day. They help you stand in receptivity instead of fear. And from that place, you may notice something wonderful. Life begins to feel less heavy, not because every challenge disappears, but because you are no longer dragging fear through every hour. You become available to little signs of support. A kind word lands more deeply. A moment of stillness speaks more clearly. A helpful idea feels easier to follow. Peace creates room for these things. Guidance also becomes easier to receive when you stop demanding that it answer every question at once. Life often gives what belongs to now. One step, one feeling, one clear next move that may seem small to the mind, but it is often enough. The mind wants a full map because it wants control. The spirit often needs only the next honest step, and once that step is taken, the next one becomes clearer. This is how many miracles unfold, not all at once, but one opening leading to another, one yes leading to another. One moment of trust creating space for the next gift to arrive. There is also a special kind of miracle that happens when you begin to feel safe inside uncertainty. This may be one of the deepest miracles of all. Instead of falling apart each time the future is hidden, you begin to remain present. Instead of needing immediate proof, you begin to feel held even while waiting. Instead of making the unknown your enemy, you begin to see it as a place where life may still surprise you with good, this Cheng, as everything. Because now the heart is no longer closed while waiting. It is open, and an open heart receives far more than a frightened one. It helps to remember that peace is not something you must earn by being perfect. Guidance is not something you must force by trying harder. Miracles are not something you must chase by living in tension. These gifts become easier to receive when you are aligned, when you are calm, when you are trusting, when you are no longer fighting life every moment. The softer you become, the more clearly you begin to notice what has always been trying to reach you. This is why inner peace is not a small thing. It changes your whole field. It changes what you see, what you hear, what you feel worthy of receiving, and what you are able to recognize as grace. Think of how often life has already helped you in ways you did not expect. Maybe something painful taught you a truth that later became freedom. Maybe a setback moved you away from something that would not have held your peace. Maybe a delay gave you the exact time needed for healing. Maybe one quiet moment of insight changed the whole direction of a season. These are not empty accidents. These are signs that life is responsive, alive, and often more loving than fear allows you to believe. When you begin to trust that, your capacity to receive grows. Receiving miracles also means allowing surprise. It means being willing to let good come in ways you did not plan. It means no longer saying, "It only counts if it happens through this one form." It means making room for life to be creative. Sometimes the perfect way for you is not the one your fear preferred. Sometimes the perfect way is gentler than your old strategy. Sometimes the perfect way comes through grace, connection, stillness, or timing rather than force. The more open you are, the more easily you can recognize the good even when it arrives wearing a new shape. So let yourself receive now. Receive the peace of this moment. Receive the guidance that may come one breath at a time. Receive the miracle of not having to carry everything alone. Receive the truth that life is still working, still guiding, still opening paths that fear cannot yet see. Let these words live in you. Life always finds the perfect way for me. I am safe to trust the process. These are not only affirmations, they are a way of living. They are a way of standing in the world with a softer heart and a steadier spirit. They are the doorway through which peace, guidance, and miracles can enter more fully into your days. Take a slow breath now and let everything you have heard begin to settle. There is no need to rush away from this moment. There is no need to prove that you understand every part of it. Just let the truth land softly where it needs to land. You do not have to know how. You do not have to force the whole path into view. You do not have to carry tomorrow before it arrives. There is wisdom moving through your life even now. There is timing working even now. There is guidance present even now. You are not outside of life's care. You are not forgotten in the hidden season. You are not alone in the making of your path. So much of the fear you have carried came from trying to protect yourself. That part of you deserves kindness. But you do not have to live there forever. You do not have to build your whole life around tension. You do not have to treat uncertainty as if it is always danger. There is another way to live, a softer way, a steadier way, a more peaceful way. It is the way of trust. It is the way of allowing. It is the way of releasing the need to control what life is already holding with greater wisdom than fear could ever offer. If there is one truth to keep close after all of this, let it be this. Life knows the way better than fear does. Fear only sees what might go wrong. Life sees the larger pattern. Fear wants to rush. Life understands timing. Fear wants proof before peace. Life invites peace first. Fear believes that if you cannot explain the whole road, then there must be no road. Life reminds you that the path can still exist before it becomes visible. The more deeply you remember this, the lighter your spirit becomes, the more gently you can move through the unknown, the more open you become to the grace that was always trying to reach you. You are allowed to stop gripping so tightly. You are allowed to rest without having every answer. You are allowed to let this moment be enough, even if the future is still quiet. You are allowed to trust that not everything hidden is against you. Some things are hidden because they are still growing. Some things are hidden because they are being prepared with care. Some things are hidden because your heart is still being made ready to receive them with peace. There is no failure in this. There is only timing. There is only unfolding. There is only life doing what life has always done, moving with wisdom deeper than panic. Place your hand on your heart again if you can. Feel the calm of that simple touch. Feel your breath. Feel the life inside you that has carried you through every season so far. You are still here. You have made it through days you once thought would break you. You have been guided through chapters you did not understand while you were inside them. You have already been held more times than fear can remember. Let that truth comfort you now. Let it remind you that you do not have to begin trusting from nothing. Life has already given you signs, already given you strength, already shown you that the unseen can still hold support. So speak gently to yourself now. I release the need to know how. Life always finds the perfect way for me. I am safe to trust the process. Let these words become a resting place in your mind. Return to them when the pressure rises. Return to them, chulchos. Hen, the waiting feels heavy. Return to them when you are tempted to believe that uncertainty means abandonment. Let them remind you of what is deeper than fear. Let them remind you of the river, of timing, of peace, of the soft guidance that comes when you stop demanding that life explain itself before you trust it. The path ahead does not need to be forced open tonight. It does not need to be solved in one breath. It will reveal what belongs to the next moment when the next moment arrives. Until then, you can live here, you can breathe here, you can soften here, you can let today be held by grace. You can let your heart rest in the simple truth that what is meant for you can still find you. What is true for you can still reach you. What needs to open will open in the right way, at the right time. Life is not confused about your path. Even when your mind feels unsure, life still knows the way. And this is the quiet miracle of trust. Not that it makes every question disappear, but that it changes the way you carry the questions. Not that it removes every unknown, but that it fills the unknown with a softer light. Not that it gives control to the mind, but that it returns peace to the heart. Trust lets you live while the answers are still forming. Trust lets you breathe while timing is still unfolding. Trust lets you receive support before you can fully explain it. This is not small. This is sacred. This is how the soul learns to live in deeper partnership with life. So go forward gently, not with force, but with openness, not with panic, but with peace, not with the demand to know everything now, but with the willingness to be guided one step at a time. Let your days become a little softer. Let your waiting become a little kinder. Let your inner voice become more loving. And when fear tries to return, answer it with truth. Life always finds the perfect way for me. I do not need to know how in order to trust. I do not need to hold everything in order to be held. All is unfolding in its own wise time. All is being carried in ways seen and unseen. All is still moving toward what is true. Rest in that. Breathe in that. Let your heart be quiet in that. You are guided. You are supported. You are safe to release the need to know how. And as you do, life can meet you with its perfect way.